Hey everybody, welcome to our first pre-recorded queer and trans yoga class. We're switching over to a YouTube format for a little bit. My name is Milo, pronouns they, them, or he, him. So I found myself very actively theming around connections between yoga and social justice in the past couple weeks. And that is actually always underlying to some extent a lot of my theming, because that tends to be one of the big ways in which I use yoga. But I've decided to just kind of fully embrace that and keep going with it. So we'll do some twists and maybe some hips today. And I'm also going to try to tie that in a little bit to the ways in which I think that yoga can be a tool for thinking about and participating in what we might refer to as revolution, or just change, whatever you might be more comfortable with, although I'm going to talk a lot about discomfort as we go. So let's start in I'm actually going to ask you to start in a hip opener. So depending on who you are, how your body is, what you feel like, this could be a number of things. So if you're sitting in Sukhasana, move back a little bit so you can see how I'm actually sitting. Just legs crossed, one foot in front of the other, sit up on some height, open the hips. If this feels like a nice hip opener to you, Sukhasana is great. If you want something a little bit more, you can, I'll cue switching sides. You can sit with your knees up, soles of the feet down, cross one ankle over the opposite knee, and walk yourself in as much as you need to get some stretch in the hip. Or if you're really feeling like jumping right in, then start in double pigeon. So just keep in mind that we haven't done any hip, we haven't warmed up the muscles, and we haven't done any hip opening yet, so you don't want to strain your hips here. So if you're going to come into double pigeon, start from hands and knees, cross one thigh over the other, and then you're going to walk yourself back and sit up on as much height as you need. So people are practicing from home. If you've got blocks, that's great. If not, grab a towel, maybe like a thick couch cushion, something that you can use as a blanket or a bolster to sit up on for some height during practice. Grab a towel or blanket or something anyway, because you might use that also in place of a strap, or we use rolls for anything. So once you've chosen your hip opener, you're going to bring yourself deep enough into it so that you can feel it. So again, you're not starting with some, you don't want to strain your muscles at the beginning of practice, please don't do that. But I'm inviting you to get yourself into a position where there's a little bit of discomfort, right, where you're starting to feel the stretch. So if you are in double pigeon, you don't feel much, you can walk your hands forward. If you're in a seated Galabasana, that's with your ankle crossed over your opposite knee, you can walk the hands in, lengthen the spine. If you're in Sukhasana and you're not getting very much of a hip opener that you can feel, maybe get into one of the other positions. And once you're in a place you start to feel the stretch a little bit, I'm going to close the mouth, start to bring the breath in and out through the nose. You're going to let your awareness go to what's calling it. So if that's not the physical pose and something else is really, kind of scratching at your brain, go there. If it is the physical pose, notice what calls to you first. What do you notice first? What comes to your awareness first? of those physical or mental or emotional sensations, is there anything that feels a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit agitated, warm, demanding of attention? Just let yourself go to it. Let your attention be there. If you're in an asymmetrical pose, you're going to switch sides. So if you're in double pigeon, you just walk forward, uncross the leg, thigh that was in front, cross the opposite thigh, widen the feet, and then again, sit back. You might need more or less height on this side. If you are in seated Galapasana with your ankle over your knee, you're just going to uncross and cross the opposite ankle over the knee of the leg that was up. If you're seated in Sukhasana, you're just going to switch your feet. So whatever foot was in front, you're going to put the other foot in front. And then you're going to come back to find a version of this pose that's deep enough that you're getting some sensation. And breathe into the hips. Notice any places that feel a little agitated, a little demanding, maybe a lot agitated or a lot demanding. And I'm just going to invite you to take a minute to ask yourself whether it would be more useful to stay with the discomfort, to stay with the agitation, to figure out what it's about, or whether it feels like maybe you're getting stuck in something, that your attention is being pulled in a way that is limiting or draining or not helpful. If that's the case in your physical body, the latter you just adjust so that you're not feeling that sensation as much. And then go ahead and walk yourself up or uncross your legs. And then everybody's going to come forward to hands and knees. So whatever position you were starting from, you're going to end up on your mat on hands and knees. We're going to take some cat-cows. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the crown of the head. Exhale, round the spine. Drop the crown of the head, drop the sitting bone. And just move with your breath, noticing any shifts in what's calling your attention. If there was some relief or release, if some of what was drawing your attention before is still there. If you feel confused about whether to stay with it or to let go, that's totally legit too. Now we're going to come back to hands and knees. We're going to do some hip circles here. So make sure you've got your ankles pretty much underneath your hips. Sorry, your knees underneath your hips, or maybe a little bit behind, and your wrists underneath your shoulders. And then you're going to bring your right foot up towards the ceiling. Keep the right leg bent. So engage the right hamstring, start to lift the right foot up. Please take any modifications that you need for these. Take breaks when you need to. To engage the hamstring more and the glute less, you're going to try to press the heel more up towards the ceiling. So like you're lifting from the leg to bring the heel up. If you lift so high that you can't kind of stop your butt from getting involved, then bring the knee down a little bit, relax the glute, and then try pressing up again. On an inhale, you're going to bring your right knee way out to the side, so you've got as close to a 90-degree angle between your left thigh and your right thigh. And just take a few breaths. Again, notice anything that might feel like it's demanding your attention in the body, anything that might feel a little agitated or worked up. On your next inhale, you'll bring the knee up and in toward your chest, squeeze it up and in. And then exhale, come back, right foot comes up towards the ceiling. If your left knee bothers you at all, feel free to take the towel or blanket, whatever you have, and put it underneath your left knee. And we're going to take some circles here. So as wide, as narrow as works for you, we're just kind of getting into the hips a little bit. So warming up this right hip, move with your breath. You can inhale, exhale, inhale, or you can pause. You want to try to keep the hips as neutral as possible. You just rotate the thigh bone around in the right hip joint, pelvic joint. And you're going to switch directions. Again, noticing where your body starts to send you messages that might feel a little bit like discomfort, irritation, agitation, and making choices about whether to change to accommodate your movements to be more comfortable, to feel more peaceful, or whether to stay with it, to kind of explore what your body is asking you, what your body's telling you, what's going on in the body that might be causing that. The next time your right knee is out to the side, you're going to pause, and then you're going to straighten the right leg. See if you can keep your hips over your bottom knee as much as possible. Keep lifting the right foot. Again, notice what comes to your attention here. And then on an exhale, go ahead and drop the right foot down. Right sole of the foot is going to come down to the mat. Walk the hands up and into vertical. You're going to take your left hand up towards the ceiling, stretch long into the left side body, right hand goes down the right leg, and then reach up and over to stretch into the left side body. You can roll the left shoulder back a little bit, look up towards the ceiling. Notice anything that's coming up in the hips. And then exhale, bring the left hand down. If you've got a block, you can bring it down to the block. If not, you'll just bring it to your mat. And then you'll stretch your right hand up and over. So you've got a long diagonal line from the outside edge of the right foot up to the right fingertips. Roll the right shoulder blade onto the ground, look up. And then exhale, bring the right hand down, come back around the hands and knees. I'm going to pause here. You can stay just on hands and knees. And notice how any of those sensations kind of unwind in the body. You can come to a child's pose if you would like, with your knees wide, feet together, sit the hips back. If you want to take some more cat-cows, feel free to do that. You're just taking a minute between sides to notice what's happening in the body, to notice any shifts in comfort or discomfort. On an inhale, come back to hands and knees. Bring the wrists underneath the shoulders, knees under the hips. When you're ready, you'll start to bring the left foot up towards the ceiling. Try to keep the hips even side to side. Again, you want to be lifting with your hamstring, right? This back part of your thigh, not your butt muscle. So if it feels like your glute is really engaged, you're going to drop the knee down a little bit, and then press the heel up, try to lift it with the leg. On an inhale, bring the left knee out towards the left. So you are in what I have only appropriately heard referred to as dog being a fire hydrant pose, like trying to keep the right hip stacked over the right knee, as close to a 90-degree angle. And inhale, bring the left knee up and in towards the chest. Squeeze the belly towards the backbone. Try to bring the knee closer to the chin, but not the chin closer to the knee. Exhale, bring the left foot up and back. Pause. And then keep moving in some slightly more fluid circles, although feel free to stop, pause at any point. Again, noticing anything coming up. Might be in the hips, it might start to be in the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists, maybe tensioning your face. Just taking the time to think before adjusting, so that you can tell the difference between the things you adjust for, because you really need to feel more peaceful, you need to feel more comfortable in your practice, you need the practice to fit your body. These are all great reasons to adjust. But not adjusting, go ahead and switch directions, because something comes up that feels immediately uncomfortable, right? That might be your body telling you something about what's going on. It might actually be drawing your attention because it's a deep need. And there is a need to be uncomfortable, to be disruptive, to do things that don't feel like they align with yourself right in this moment, even though they may align with some deeper needs. When you're ready, you're going to pause with the left knee out to the side. Notice what's coming to your attention in the hips, whether to stay or come out. And then we'll all come out together, straighten the left leg out, bring the left foot down to the mat. Walk the hands in, so your right knee's under the right hip, left foot is out on the mat. Press into the outer edge of the left foot. The fingertips come down, gently down your leg. You don't want to press into your knee. And then your right hand's going to come up towards the ceiling, stretch up and over towards the left foot. Roll the right shoulder onto the back, look up. Take some deep breaths and do the right side body again, noticing what's calling your attention and how you make the choice to stay with something uncomfortable or to shift because you know it's not good for you. Exhale, bring the right hand down, a block if you have one, otherwise you can come with your fingertips to your palm, stretch the left arm up and over. So you're at pretty much a diagonal line, press into the outer edge of the left foot, roll the left shoulder onto the back, look up towards the ceiling. Exhale, unwind, come back to hands and knees. On an inhale, you're going to lift your right fingertips up. Adjust this just a little bit. And you're going to bring your right fingertips down underneath your chest, underneath your right armpit. Stretch out, and then come onto the right side of the head. You're going to take your left hand in front of your face, maybe a little bit more towards the forehead. Press down into the left hand and then roll the left shoulder over the right. Keep squeezing the inner thighs. Try to keep the hips even. Bring the twist into the mid to upper back here. And start to bring your gaze up a little bit if that feels good. And then take some really deep breaths into the place your back refuses to twist anymore, or refuses to twist the most, right? Your boundary to this twist. And it might feel pretty tight and constricted. Notice that. Notice what it feels like. Does it feel a little bit irritating? Does it feel like something That's not allowing you to just sink, comfortably into a peaceful practice. And then is it worth shifting something? So let's say your neck is straining because your head doesn't comfortably reach the floor. Then grab something and put it underneath. Like that's a distraction. If you're feeling the twist and you're noticing that it's a little bit fatiguing, it's sort of energizing and irritating to notice the twist, but you know that if you stay in it, it'll help you to release, then stay in it. Exhale, mind, come back to center. Either pause on hands and knees, or you can take some cat-cows and help rock the belly, lift the crown of the head and the sitting bones. Exhale to round if you're taking those cat-cows. Back to neutral. Inhale the right fingertips up, open the chest to the right. Exhale, bring the right hand down underneath the left armpit. Come on to this is the side we just did. Twist the opposite way. Left fingertips come up, left fingertips come down underneath the right armpit. Come onto the left side of the head. Hand goes in front of the face. Press down with the fingertips, roll your right shoulder over your left here. Take some deep breaths into the mid to upper back. Again, trying to differentiate the discomfort that tells you that your practice is not aligned with you, that you can shift your environment to protect yourself, to stay healthy, to let yourself move more deeply into the practice. And then what kinds of discomfort do you really want to stay with in your practice that feel like an agitation that's pulling you towards something that you need? And if you can't tell the difference sometimes, that's completely fine. That's why it's a practice. That's why we do it over and over and over again. It's not something that you know unless you think and move and breathe with it. Exhale, unwind, come back to center. Hands and knees, pause here, or take some cat-cows. If you're ready, we're going to press ourselves up and back to downward facing. Going to move the knees back a little bit or the hands forward. Lift your hips up and back. Press into the fingers, lift up through the hips, and then press down to the heels. If now or at any other point in practice, hands and knees feels like a more accessible downward facing dog, please use that. Or any other pose where you're kind of resting between vinyasas, asana. Again, making that decision not on what is immediately the most comfortable, because what you're used to or your body's used to might be the most comfortable thing, but on what is actually accessible for you and good for you. Inhale, look forward towards the hands. Start to walk the feet towards your hands. Stretch into the heels. Stretch into the backs of the legs. Use drawing your belly button up towards your backbone to lift your foot up. And then press the heel down, lengthen the back of the leg with each step. What in this walk up is drawing your attention? Feels maybe a little bit uncomfortable. Feels like an agitation. Feels like a lack of peace in the body. Just reminding yourself that not all of those things are useful and not all of those things are not useful. The front edge of the mat will be in forward fold. Bend as much as you need to into the knees and widen the feet as much as you need to keep a long spine. On an inhale, we'll come to halfway lift. You can press your fingertips into blocks if you have them, the floor if you can reach it, otherwise you're going to gently rest the fingertips on the shins. Widen the sitting bones, lengthen the spine, stretch out to the crown of the head. Exhale, pull forward. Inhale, root to the feet, come up to stand, stretch the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bring the hands to heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend in the knees and fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, plant the hands, step back to downward facing dog. On an inhale, you'll come forward to plank pose. You can have your knees up or you can have them down. Keep drawing the belly button up towards the backbone. And then exhale, bend the elbows back behind. Slowly lower the hips and the shoulders together to the mat. Flip the toes, roll the shoulders up and back. Use the muscles along the spine to really lift the mid and upper back up away from the floor. Try to keep the glutes soft. Exhale, tuck in the toes. Lift your belly button towards your back when you're going to come up to hands and knees first. So lift the hips and the shoulders together. And then exhale, up and back to downward facing. 3 deep breaths. Inhale, look forward, start to walk the feet up towards the hands, stretch into the backs of the legs, the bottoms of the feet. Staying with agitation and discomfort that feels like it really does need your attention. If anything is just painful or a distraction, making accommodations for that. So maybe widening the feet, grabbing something for under the hands. Same thing when you get to your forward fold. Is there something you need to sink into a little bit more deeply that's demanding your attention? Is there anything you need to move away because it's asking for attention and not giving you anything back? On an inhale, come to halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, root into the feet, come up to stand, stretch the fingertips. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend the knees and fold. Inhale, here halfway. Exhale, plant the hands, step back to downward facing. On an inhale, come forward. The plank knees can be up or down. On an exhale, slowly lower to the mat. Keep the shoulders and the hips in line. Flip the toes, roll the shoulders up and back. Again, use the muscles along the spine to lift the shoulders up, not the glutes. Exhale, tuck the toes, lift the hips and the shoulders together, either through hands and knees, or you can come up through chaturanga, and then back to downward facing, 3 deep breaths. We'll move through this Sun A. I'm going to invite you to use it one more time as a kind of moving meditation, thinking about when you decide to move away from discomfort because you know it's a sign of something that is unhelpful, and when you decide to stay in it because you think it might be drawing your attention to something that needs deepening, needs change. Inhale, look forward. You can take the slow walk again. You can take 1 bigger step or 2 big steps. If you feel ready, you can bend into the knees, lift the belly button towards the ceiling, and hop the feet up to the hands. Again, we'll meet in our forward fold. Lengthen out to the spine, bend as much as you need to into the knees. Inhale, come to halfway. Exhale, go forward. Inhale, root into the feet, come to stand, stretch the fingertips. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale to reach. Exhale, bend in the knees and fold. Inhale, you're halfway. Exhale, plant the hand, step back. Keep moving one breath, one movement through your vinyasa, protecting the low back by keeping the hips and the shoulders in line and moving together, and keeping the glutes as soft as possible. And you're going to take 3 deep breaths. You can take them in downward facing dog, or you can come down to child's pose. And thinking about why and how you're making decisions for yourself. What is the best self-care? Is it to stay with a little bit of agitation somewhere? Is it to release from there? For recovery or for peace? Ready, we're going to meet back up and downward facing. Inhale the right heel up to 3 dog. Exhale, bring the right knee up and in. Squeeze it in towards the chest. And then bring your right foot to your right hand. Scooch it up if it doesn't get all the way. Make sure you've got a hip distance side to side. Squeeze the feet towards each other. And then inhale up into your crescent lunge. So you're going to bend into the back knee as much as you need to make sure you're not overstretching your back hip flexor, and make sure your low back can be long. And then you're going to exhale, bring the left hand forward, right hand back. We're going to pause in this twist for a few breaths. You're going to come out if you feel like you need to do so to take care of yourself. You're going to stay in if you feel like holding it, even if it's uncomfortable, might help your back to release or strengthen the legs. So what does this have to do with social justice or revolution or change? Just the simple fact that real change is super uncomfortable. Even if it's in the service of you, right? Even if it ends up with you getting something that you need, it can be a very uncomfortable process, both like the actual change itself when it comes and the advocating for that change, not knowing what the future is going to bring, feeling like you might spend a lot of energy on something if no change will happen. It's all uncomfortable. On an exhale, if you haven't already, you're going to bring the left hand down to the mat, a block if you have one, right hand comes up towards the ceiling, keep squeezing the feet, and then you can walk the left hand off the mat a little bit and then lean back with this chest opener. Send your right hip more to the right. Take some deep breaths into the right outer hip, left hip flexor, right shoulder. And then exhale, bring the right hand down, walk the hands around. You're going to bring your toes to what was previously the left side of your mat, come into a wide-legged forward fold. Squeeze the inner edges of the feet, lift the sitting bones up towards the ceiling and lengthen out through the crown of the head. And then just take a few deep breaths here. So, because change is difficult, if we constantly stay with what we're comfortable with, there's very little chance that any change is going to happen. If, however, we can't tell the difference between agitation and pushing and disruption that is in the cause of something, and agitation and disruption that's actually doing us harm as we move through it, we're also not going to be able to sustain ourselves. Inhale, come to a halfway lift here. You're going to put your right hand down underneath your face. Again, if you've got a block, please use it. Left hand's going to go to the sacrum, squeeze the inner edges of the feet, and then roll the left shoulder over the right. Keep squeezing the inner edges of the feet to keep the sacrum even, and then maybe roll that left shoulder a little bit more. Inhale, lengthen up through the crown of the head. Exhale, roll the shoulder a little bit further. And then exhale, come back through center. Left hand goes down, right hand goes to the sacrum. Squeeze the inner edges of the feet. Roll the right shoulder over the left. Again, taking some deep breaths into the part of the back that's the most resistant. The other thing about change that can feel so exhausting is like pushing up against the same thing over and over again. And being able to know when more agitation in that one spot, more pushing in that one spot, more attention is not going to do you any good, and you're going to spend all of your energy there and not get anywhere. And when just staying and breathing and being in that same place, insisting on the same things, insisting in loud ways, insisting in disruptive ways, insisting in quieter ways, like that, sustaining that will get you to some actual change. Exhale, unwind, come back to center. Do a couple more breaths in your forward fold. And then go ahead and walk the hands back around to the front edge of the mat. Bring your right foot, step it back to your left. And then take what you would like for vinyasa. So you can keep coming forward to plank and lowering and doing your back bend. You can take child's pose. Then hang out in down dog. You can do something else that you need to do that feels like it's going to get you where you need to be to get to the other side of this sequence. When you're back in downward facing, inhale the left heel up. Exhale, bring the left knee up and in, squeeze it in. Left foot goes to the left hand, scooch it up the rest of the way if it doesn't make it. Squeeze the feet towards each other and then inhale up into your crescent lunge on the second side. Again, bending into the back knee as much as you need to so that you're not overstretching this hip flexor and your low back can stay long. Then you're going to squeeze the feet to engage the back quad and the front hamstring. The shoulders soft, down away from the ears. And then we'll come into the twist, right hand forward, left head back. Again, we're going to hold it, but it is your responsibility to come out or out and back in when you feel like you need to, either because of pain or fatigue. It's also your responsibility to stay with some discomfort if it feels like that is going to open up to something else. It's not always just the stamina of staying. I mean, that's part of it. But it's really being able to tell the difference between when your body is telling you something that's really about you, your needs, because whatever kind of change you're hoping to make, you do need to meet your own needs to get there. And when it's telling you something that like, maybe you've internalized, you've heard, that's stuck, that needs to move, and then that's something you need to sit with more, you need to stay with more, and to think about more. On an exhale, bring your right hand down to the mat, or maybe off the right side of the mat. Left fingertips come up, left foot goes to the left, lean back into your twist here. On an exhale, bring the left hand down, walk the hands around to what was previously the right side of your mat. Come to your forward fold, take out the head of the neck, sigh out to the left. Inhale, come to halfway lift. And then you're going to exhale, come up to vertical, and then you're going to bring your toes to point out at an angle. So you want them to be the same direction that your knees are pointing. So you're going to come down into a little squat here. Temple pose. And depending on how much your inner thighs will open, that's going to dictate the direction of your toes. So if you've got, your knees facing straight outside to side, your toes can do that too. If they're a little bit more forward, you want your toes to go the same direction. You're going to gently place the hands on the thighs and then sit down into this temple pose. Just take a few breaths. Again, noticing agitation and disruption, where is it useful to sit with that? So we have all been raised, indoctrinated, taught within systems that are harmful, that harm us, that harm other people. Like, that's just part of the world we live in. Being able to differentiate between when that's the thing that's making you uncomfortable versus your own actual needs, right, are not being met, is really important for thinking about social change. You're going to drop your right shoulder down, bring your left shoulder back. Yoga can be used as a way to escape knowing those things, thinking about those things, trying to make change in the world. Inhale to center. Exhale, left shoulder comes forward, right shoulder back. And we see that in the world a lot. Yoga is used to sell pants and smoothies. It still makes people feel good. I'm not saying that it's not useful in some way, but it's not about engaging the world in some sort of radical change. Inhale back to center. Exhale, you're going to straighten the legs, come up to stand. Notice any release or sensation. The breath in the body. Turn the toes to point forward, bend in the knees, pull. Shake out the head and the neck, back to the mouth. And then start to walk the hands around towards the front edge of the mat. Bring the left foot, step back to meet the right. Take whatever you need here for Vinyasa. From downward facing, you'll inhale, lift the right heel up. If it's comfortable for you to do so, you're going to stack the right hip over the left, maybe bend the right knee. And when I say comfortable here, I'm using that now in the broader sense, so not like easy or free of discomfort or free of agitation, but like it might be a useful investment for you to make to do it. And it's totally possible that it's not, right? There's not both choosing not to do something and to do something, to stay in something or to get out can be good choices. Inhale, bring the right knee up and in, plant the right foot by the right hand. Squeeze the feet, inhale up to your crescent, and bring hands to heart center. Then you're going to exhale into a twist towards the right. You can stay vertical, or if it feels, again, like it might be useful for you to invest in the slight crunchiness and discomfort of bringing the left elbow outside the right knee and then pressing the hands together to twist, you can come into this version of the twist. From wherever you are, take some deep breaths, come in and out as you need to. I think as queer and trans people, and as any other marginalized identities that anyone has watching this, but I'm only making the assumption of one based on the class, we can use our experiences to reflect a little bit about on how we know when discomfort can be useful. Right, to come out, if you're forward, you're going to inhale up, stay twisted, and then exhale, forward, straighten the front leg, then forward into your pyramid pose. Again, if you've got blocks, please use them. I always support the use of props when I'm trying to demo without them because I know not everyone has them at home. Squeeze the feet towards each other. If you don't have blocks, come onto your fingertips. Then as much as you need to into the front leg to make sure your hips can stay even side to side. So sometimes it can even be like moving into discomfort of doing a pose in a way that doesn't feel right or good or like it should look to you. Maybe you're bending so far into your right knee that it looks almost like a low lunge. If you're getting some stretch in the right hamstring, then that's great. So for many of us in our lives, there have been times when we have had to do something uncomfortable or make other people uncomfortable because we know it lines up more with ourselves or with something that's going to be ultimately important to changing our lives or our world. Then leave the left hand down, bring the right hand to the right hip, twist towards the right. So if you have an experience like that, that's a resource that you can use to remind yourself that you do know sometimes when it's important to stay in discomfort, or when discomfort doesn't even feel like discomfort. You know, when like maybe telling somebody that they are being homophobic or transphobic isn't the most comfortable thing, but if you do it, you'll feel better, so you do it. You know, you stay in that discomfort and accept the fact that they're uncomfortable. Exhale, unwind. Bring the front foot, step back, downward facing. Take whatever you want for vinyasa. Meet down, downward facing. Inhale the left, heel up. Again, if it feels like a worthwhile investment, you're going to stack the left hip over the right, maybe bend the left leg. If it doesn't, you're not going to do it. Right? Not every asana is worth it. Not every expenditure of energy is worth it. Some are really worth it and really uncomfortable. Some are, you know, worth it and feel kind of nice and soothing. Inhale, bring the left knee up and in. Bend the left up by the left hand, scooch it up the rest of the way. Squeeze the feet, inhale to your crescent. And exhale, hands come to heart center. Now twist towards the left, you can keep the torso up, or you can bring your right elbow outside your left knee. You choose what's going to be the best investment of your time for what you want to see happen, right? For the way you want your practice to change you. So, like thinking about our own experiences, thinking about our yoga practice, these really can be tools for parsing where to spend our energy, for being less fearful of change, for being less fearful of agitation or things that feel uncomfortable. We know that the discomfort is coming from challenging messages or systems that we've learned that we want to unlearn. Then that discomfort can feel really useful and tough. Exhale back to center. And then straighten the left leg, bend forward. Come to your pyramid on the second side, and again, adjust, accommodate however you need to keep your hips even and your spine long. So that might be bending way into the left leg, or maybe coming up on fingertips. Other props if you have them. Drop back on the left upper hip, lengthen out through the crown of the head. When we think that anything worthwhile has to be peaceful, we miss out on a lot of opportunity because change often does not feel peaceful, it doesn't feel calm. When we think that everything has to be all your energy all the time, can't take a break, can't be peaceful, then we lose the ability to care for ourselves. Keep the right hand down, left hand goes to the left hip, roll the left shoulder over the right. And bring the left fingertips up, keep drawing back on the left outer hip, lean into the twist. And then exhale, bend into the left knee, bring the left foot, step back to downward facing. Take what you need for vinyasa. And now look forward towards the hands. You're either going to walk your feet up to your hands, or you can bend in the knees. Either jump the feet through or do what I'm doing, kind of fake jumping them through, and then walk the hands back. We're gonna come into another seated hip opener here. So you're gonna grab whatever height you can to sit up on. So if you've got a blanket or a cushion or a block, we're gonna come into double pigeon. Sorry, not double pigeon, fire leg pose. We did double pigeon. Some of us did double pigeon at the beginning of class. So let's take the right leg and you're gonna bring it parallel with the front edge of your mat. So your knee is out a little bit wider than your hip and your shin is crossed in front. And then you're gonna stack the other leg on top. So you're gonna have your ankle pretty much right over your knee. If that is uncomfortable, take a shirt or a sock or something, I'm using a blanket, put it underneath so that you're kind of padding your ankle and your knee. So if it looks like this, that's great. Some people can bring their knee all the way down to their ankle, but you don't want to shift so that your knee gets lower. You want to make sure your knee is still stacked over the ankle. If it feels to you like you're leaning way over to one side, it might be worth coming up on a little bit of height. Up on some height for this. You might also want to take your right thigh and butt cheek and just kind of manually pull it out to the side, and then it might be easier to come down more evenly. So height, cushioning, these are ways that we can shift our environment so that we can stay in the discomfort. And so it's another thing about thinking about change. What can you do for yourself or your environment kind of more immediately without investing all of your energy so that when it comes to sitting and things that are uncomfortable, you have the resources there, right? You're not leaning way to the side, you're not in pain because your ankle is on your knee, that's doing nothing for your yoga pose. You're gonna inhale, lengthen up through the crown of the head, and then you're either gonna sit right where you are and just press the top knee gently down, or if it would feel good to you and you've got the knee kind of close-ish to your ankle, you can walk forward a little bit to shift the stretch in the hips. And again, you want to find something maybe even a little deeper than where you were at the beginning of practice. So at the beginning of practice, I said, find something where you can feel it. Now maybe find something where you're like really feeling it, but again, not pain. Like, you know the difference between when you're hurting your body and it's not good for you versus you are in a tight area of the body, which your hips can be, and it feels a little bit irritating, a lot agitating to stay with it, but it's worth breathing through. So I think people often have what I think is a false association between yoga and peace, right? Or that yoga is about meditation and softness and quietness and not doing harm, and it is about all those things in a lot of ways. But one of the discussions in my own teacher training that I found to be really useful was talking about the Bhagavad Gita. So that's a text that has like a million interpretations, and I'm not going to say I have anything authoritative to say about it other than it is definitely not about peace, right? It's about Krishna basically, guiding Arjuna through this battle with himself where like he can't act, he can't do anything. He's like so stuck in this difficult, legitimately very difficult situation that he can't do anything to make change, right? He almost feels like if I do nothing, that'll be like the best thing I can do. And Krishna kind of convinces them like that is not your duty. Your duty in the world is not to sit there and like fret about how stressful and hard everything is. Your duty is to figure it out and act. Inhale, come back up, kind of very slowly uncross. Just bring the legs out in front for a breath. Notice any sensations in the hips, the back, the face, neck. And then we'll switch to the other side. Bring the left shin across, parallel to the front edge of the mat. Right shin comes on top. Again, you really want to stack your ankle right over your knee. So if padding that connection between the ankle and the knee helps you to keep it right over. You don't want to be stickling the ankle. And then either sit up on height or reach down through the left glute and thigh and just kind of pull the muscle and the flesh out to the side, and then you can maybe sit down a little bit more evenly into both sitting bones. Inhale up through the crown of the head. Either stay here, just gently pressing your knee towards your ankle, or you can walk forward a little bit to shift the stretch in the hips. Again, making some good decisions for yourself about what is not helpful here. If you've got knee pain, if your ankle's really sickling, then shift it, do something different, come out a little bit. You could even walk back if that is more helpful, right? Or it's just like, oh, this hip stretch, that's a lot, right? But maybe it would help to breathe into it for a minute or two just to see what comes up. When we are dealing with all of the narratives that we exist in and face in the world, many of which are designed to keep us from acting, especially if it's acting in the direction of justice or equity or our own or others, like real human interests. There's a lot, it can feel very overwhelming, there's a lot to parse. Trying to make it as simple, even though it's very complex to dig through all these things, but as simple as possible in terms of honing your ability to say, this is something that's harmful to me and I need to put it aside for a second or forever to make sure I can keep acting, versus this is something that makes me uncomfortable to think about or talk about, makes me uncomfortable to do, maybe feels like it goes against some of our narratives about being kind to each other and being peaceful, right? But it's important, feels like it's really either going to get you personally somewhere by sitting with your own discomfort, or going to get change made because it's disruptive in the world. Again, just being able to trust yourself to make a distinction between those two is a hugely important skill. And then you just have to do the thing that your gut tells you. And again, if you feel like you don't know, keep practicing, right? Stay with it. Like your actual yoga practice, but also your practice of moving in a direction towards the change you want to see. And now come up. Cross the legs. And then as you're ready, you're going to come down to lying on your back. Have any props with you that you might want to use for your Shavasana. Before we come to Shavasana, you're going to lay down, take the base of the palms, and you're going to bring them to where your hips meet your pelvis, your torso. You're just going to gently press forward. Do a little manual release with the hip flexors, a little length for the low back. And release, walk the feet out to the width of the mat. Drop the knees towards the right. You're going to send your left knee straight forward, flexing the left foot. And then you're going to gently, with your own muscular engagement on your hands, draw your left hip more down towards the mat. So looking for some space in the left hip flexor. Again, keep that left foot flexed so that you're not tweaking your knee while you do this. Inhale, knees back to center. Exhale towards the left. Now your right foot is going to stay flexed. Right knee is going to point straight forward. And then you're gently going to draw the right hip down towards the mat. back to center. Bring the soles of the feet together, knees come up to the sides. Take a couple gentle breaths and again, just making space. So you're not stretching into here, you're just making some space for the hip flexors that have done a lot of work. Bring the hands to the thighs, draw the knees back up towards the ceiling. And then you're going to find a comfortable position for Shavasana. So you can bring the plate underneath your head, you can roll up a blanket underneath your knees, you can do whatever you're doing. Take a little bit of height and bring it underneath the sacrum for a low supported bridge. You can do that with a towel or a cushion, it doesn't have to be a block. If you're comfortable, you're going to take a deep breath into the low belly. Sigh out through the mouth. And just let all of that thinking and parsing go for a few minutes in Shavasana. Start to take some deeper breaths into the low belly. Longer breaths out. Using as little muscular engagement as possible. And come off any props. Draw your knees in towards the chest. Roll to one side. And then make your way up into a comfortable seated position to close practice. Please sit up on some height so your hips have space to release, low back can be long. Go ahead and bring hands together at heart center. Taking a minute to remind yourself of your own tools and that you can take and really benefit from taking the time to ask yourself, am I doing this because it's comfortable, because it's what I always do, because it's the run I'm stuck in, or am I doing it because I really believe that it will lead to the change that I want to see, to becoming the person I want to be, to engage in work that will see results. And just practicing asking yourself that question, even if you don't always know the answer or sometimes you don't know. Inhale, deep into the low belly. Exhale, sigh out through the mouth. Let your chin come towards your chest. Have a wonderful rest of your day. 10 feet.